It's time for our daily dose of Coke, and we have Chichi Kachiyama. And one of the faces that she's eating is saying, I voted for you. Why is ICE taking my family? And yes, this is actually happening. I saw this post yesterday and I was literally gobsmacked. It says MAGA mom was taken by ICE, but her husband refuses to stop flying Trump flag. We understand what he's doing. Trump is not trying to do anything bad. Arthur Sahakian told the local news after his wife was taken from their California home. He wants the best for the country. This picture of Trump is so bad. Ugh. But that's not the point. A California man refused to tone down his support for Trump even after his wife, an Iranian national, was taken by ICE last week amid fears of sleeper cell attacks in the wake of U.S. strikes on Iran. They are literally doing thought police right now. They don't know if this woman is a sleeper cell or anything. They took her because she is Iranian. Sahakian's wife, Arpina Masihai, immigrated to the United States when she was 3 years old as a refugee, but had her green card revoked about 15 years ago when she was convicted of a theft-related crime. Masihai's husband told the outlet they've been trying to regain her legal status, but she was detained June 30th, a week after the U.S. bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. She came and kissed the kids, and that was it. That was the last time we saw her. Masihai's detainment comes at a time when the Trump administration has intensified fears over Iranian sleeper cells. The Department of Homeland Security issued a threat bulletin last month saying the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict could contribute to the United States-based individuals plotting additional attacks. So, it looks like they are just going to start grabbing up brown people and loading them up with ICE. But the thing is, he's still a Trump supporter. He would totally vote for him again. So this is the reason why, literally, they are voting for their own demise, the demise of their own families. So we know California is blue, but they do have some red pockets. They do have some MAGA country out there in Cali. So this article from LA Times, I came across it yesterday. It says even some Orange County Republicans question Trump sweeps targeting immigrant workers. Let's look at this article. As protests broke out in cities across Southern California over Trump's aggressive immigration enforcement sweeps, the mood in Huntington Beach was celebratory. Make America Great Again and Trump 2024 banners waved at the intersection of Main Street and Pacific Coast Highway as the president's supporters turned out at a protest last month. One sign held up by a teen encouraged attendees to support your local ICE raid. It wasn't a surprise in the conservative beach town where leaders had months earlier declared Huntington Beach a non-sanctuary city. At the time, the city filed a lawsuit against the state over its law limiting operation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities, arguing that illegal immigration was to blame for a rise in crime. Huntington Beach will not sit idly by and allow the obstructionist sanctuary state law to put our 200,000 residents at risk of harm from those who seek to commit violent crimes on U.S. soil, Mayor Pat Burns said at the time. Elsewhere in Orange County, particularly in cities with higher immigrant populations, the conversation about the raids has been much more muted. Republicans who voted for Trump and support his efforts to deport those who have committed crimes expressed hesitation about the sweeps that have targeted workers and long-time residents. A group of Republican legislators in California, including 2 who represent Orange County, sent a letter to Trump last week urging him to direct United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Department of Homeland Security to focus their enforcement operations on criminals and avoid the kinds of sweeping raids that instill fear and disrupt the workplace. The fear is driving vital workers out of critical industries, taking California's affordability crisis and making it even worse for our constituents, wrote the legislators, including Assembly members Diane Dixon and Lori Davies. They called on Trump to modernize the county's immigration process to give undocumented immigrants with long-standing local ties a path toward legal status. Joan Rycott, a Republican political organizer from Orange, supports Trump's immigration policy, saying that she believes the country has become safer since he began fulfilling his campaign promise to rid the country of criminals. I do have a lot of compassion for the people who don't know their home country or came here when they were 5, she said. I don't understand why they never became citizens. If they would have, they wouldn't have been deported. Although Trump has repeatedly said his administration is focusing deportation efforts on criminals, data show that the majority of those arrested in early June in the Los Angeles area were men who had never been charged with a crime. In the early days of the enforcement action between June 1st and June 10th, about 69% of those arrested in the LA region had no criminal conviction, and 58% had never been charged with a crime, according to a Times data analysis. Right Cop said it's sad when the raids sweep up individuals who haven't committed crimes, but the federal government's offer for undocumented immigrants to self-deport and possibly have a chance to return is a silver lining, she added. It's a bad scenario, but Trump is giving them an opportunity, she said. Trump's plans for deportations that he outlined during his campaign aren't particularly popular among many Orange County voters. Only a third of Orange County residents who responded to the UC Irvine poll published in January agreed with Trump on the issue. Nearly 60% of the residents polled preferred that undocumented individuals have an option to obtain legal status. This is going to be very interesting, especially the way they are just jumping out of cars. They're wearing masks. They are really causing a lot of fear. They're causing a lot of harm. So we're going to see if the people who really love MAGA and really thought that they supported all of these mass deportations keep that same energy. Because what I am seeing is when they are personally affected, then it's like, oh my God, my little buddy is gone. The waitress that used to serve me every week is gone. Then they finally have a modicum of humanity. Other than that, these are some Christians that have zero humanity for their fellow humans if they are not documented. They are some terrible Christians with hate in their heart. And I cannot understand how they would think that their God or their Jesus would like how they are actually comporting themselves and how they are champion for these mass deportations. People like these tweet transitions, and this is Harrison. He says, I am proud to say that I was loyal to Trump through everything, through COVID and J6 and the primary with Ron DeSantis. I never doubted. How many others can say the same? He said that on November 5th. They are perfectly fine with felons. They are perfectly fine with the January 6th insurrectionists and how the January 6th insurrectionists unalived people. They are perfectly fine with that. They will say that they are Christians and they love the Lord and stuff, but they are perfectly fine with felons and unalivers and all of that. So here he is on June 21st saying, welp, I was wrong. I trusted Trump to put America first and avoid the one effing thing that could derail MAGA. Based on his track record, his promises during the campaign, and the abject stupidity of another Mideast war, I thought he knew better. We have been betrayed. Why would you trust a con man? Like, I literally have to question their sanity because this dude has been a liar since he came down that escalator, but these people trusted his promises. He says, I am not naive. I knew Trump was way too favorable to Israel, but I didn't care as long as he kept us out of direct war with Iran. That said, I still would have voted for him for 2 reasons. Number 1, Kamala would have not only involved us in war, she would have bungled it because he's just doing so swell. Number 2, she would have flooded us with another 20 million immigrants and given citizenship to the new arrivals. That's absolutely untrue, but it makes them feel better to say that. And that's the part that really pisses me off about this move by Trump. It's not about the Iranians or the Israelis. It's about the fact that Trump was our last hope for fixing things within the system. Now his administration is about to be consumed by war, and the Dems will likely sweep the midterms. They'll make 2021 to 24 look like a cakewalk when they fire up the censorship, persecution, and replacement migration. A world-ending move by Trump. So he says this is a world-ending move, but he would still totally vote for him again. And the crazy thing, talking about censorship, Trump is the one that is suing news organizations. He's the one that's kicking news organizations off the plane and out of the press corps. Talking about persecution. This is literally what Trump is doing. He's sitting up here detaining people that are Iranian nationals, or he's detaining people and deporting people that have social media posts that are not favorable to Trump. He's the one that is doing all of this. So, he fears what Kamala Harris would have done, but literally Trump is doing these things. El Bardo says, you are 100% naive. You had 9 years to figure this out, laughing my butt off. Somehow you still fell for it again. And then Plant Powered Liberal says, I'd still have voted for him, you say, as the world behind you is engulfed in nuclear Armageddon. Pure cult. Then we have Mike. Mike says, I support most everything Trump does, but the big, beautiful bill is going to add trillions to the deficit. Why is it impossible for our government to spend only what they take from us? Every American has to live on what they make, but our government just keeps wasting money. Did Doge accomplish anything? One would think the trillions they steal from our paychecks would be sufficient, but they always spend more. He loves everything, most everything Trump does, but they don't really name the things that he does that's so amazing. And this is one of those times. This Facebook page and profile pic is hilarious. This is We the United Oklahoma. They shared this graphic of Oklahoma. This is rural hospitals at risk of closures due to Medicaid cuts. So these are all the hospitals that are at risk. Not saying they're all going to close, but things are about to get a whole lot tighter. So that graphic came from KOCO News, and it says dozens of Oklahoma hospitals are at risk. Managed Medicaid has kept them afloat. Data shows 23 rural hospitals in Oklahoma are at immediate risk of closing, according to a report by the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform. Rural hospitals all across this nation have continued to close over the last few decades. Here, just most recently in Oklahoma, we've had a couple of closures, said Rich Rasmussen, president and CEO of the Oklahoma Hospital Association. This man, Joshua, took exception to We the United Oklahoma posting that picture, saying, so you show a map with roughly 45 hospitals, then provide a link that says only 23 are at risk. Seems a little disingenuous. And he says the link is related to the original post, but it is not a source. The map is a map of rural hospitals in Oklahoma. With Medicaid cuts, these hospitals will be at risk of closure due to financial losses. Also, the article says immediate closures. This bill will affect us for years to come. These people simply do not want to accept reality, and that's okay. Reality will still smack them. Matt McDermott shares this article talking about Nebraska. It says, Curtis is a small town of 900 people in rural southwest Nebraska. The Curtis Medical Center announced yesterday it is closing after more than 30 years. It is the only healthcare provider in the community. They blame Trump's Medicaid cuts. So these people, these 900 people, they're going to lose jobs and they are going to lose access to a hospital. They better start getting on the internet and figuring out how to suture and how to use a heart defibrillator and maybe how to set a broken bone or something. I'm sure they can find the information on YouTube. And yes, I do know that Trump's one big beautiful BS of a bill did pass, and I will have to talk about the implications of this bill, and I'll do that in its own video.
And please don't be stupid. I see a lot of people on social media claiming that the only people who are going to get their Medicaid cut are undocumented immigrants, quote unquote illegals. Bullshit. That's not true. People who are undocumented cannot get Medicaid because you have to fill out forms that would get you busted if you were an undocumented immigrant. The people who are getting their Medicaid cut are your neighbors and maybe you, because some of y'all are on Obamacare and don't realize that's Medicaid. They call it different things in different states, but it's Medicaid. If you're on Obamacare and you got your health care through an exchange, you're on Obamacare. They're getting your health care, not some undocumented immigrants. Y'all are getting lied to. Stop believing the bullshit. And they're doing it because they know a lot of y'all are not going to vote in the next election and will just vote them back in. And they claim they're Christians. This is the most unchristian, demonic shit ever.
If you made it this far, this has literally nothing to do with leopards or feasting or MAGA voters. This is just for a little levity. We have an F-boy elephant that is chasing around a mama elephant, and he's trying to get her pregnant again, and it looks like his thing is just out and it's just jiggling, and he is really trying to get to this mama elephant, and she is like, get someone else to do it. I've already been pregnant for 2 years, and I do not want to go back to being pregnant for 2 years. So if y'all needed to see this, let me know if you got this.